Firstpost reports from the world's second largest continent. Hello, I'm Alyson Grange. A very warm welcome from Durban, South Africa. We get you the news and the newsmakers from Africa. From elections to climate change to innovations and opportunities. As the world's attention shifts, we report from Africa, the heart of the global south. Join me every weekday live on Firstpost. Hello and welcome to Firstpost Africa, where we get you the top stories from the continent and from across the world. I'm Alyson Grange, coming to you live from Durban, South Africa. First, let's take a look at the headlines. A South African court orders the police to end the standoff with illegal miners stuck in a gold mine southwest of Johannesburg. At least 3,000 illegal miners are stuck in the mine shaft and are running out of food and essential supplies as police officials threaten to arrest them. Senegal's ruling party secures a landslide victory in the parliamentary elections held on Sunday. The win gives President Bassirou Faye a strong mandate in the National Assembly. At least 6 people, including 2 children, drown after a boat capsizes off the coast of Angola's capital, Luanda. Officials say only 17 out of the 30 people have been rescued. Morocco picks China over France for a major high-speed rail project connecting major cities like the capital Rabat to Casablanca. This just weeks after French President Emmanuel Macron pledged to invest $10 billion, including high-speed rail in Morocco. And Category 5 Super Typhoon Manyi makes landfall in the Philippines with wind speeds up to 190 kilometers per hour. This is now the 6th hurricane to hit the Philippines this month. Hello and welcome. We begin in West Africa, where 2 democracies of the world have agreed to renew their strategic ties. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Nigeria over the weekend. Prime Minister Modi's visit to Nigeria was coming after a gap of 17 years. The last visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Nigeria was in 2007. Prime Minister Modi was accorded a ceremonial Guard of Honor with a 21-gun salute in the capital Abuja, where he met with his Nigerian counterpart, President Bola Tinubu, and pledged to deepen their relations, especially in the fields of maritime security and counter-terrorism. Prime Minister Modi had previously met President Tinubu at the G20 summit that was hosted by New Delhi in 2023. Speaking about the strong and cordial relations between the 2 countries, both leaders highlighted how there was a need to further strengthen ties and increase areas of cooperation.
Nigeria values its excellent relationship with India, and we work to deepen broaden the same for mutual benefit of our 2 friendly countries. You represent a very strong commitment in democratic values and norms. You have been doing a good job.
Excellency, we accord a high priority to our strategic partnership with Nigeria. We have a strong cooperation in several sectors such as defense, energy, economy, technology, health, education, and culture. Our cooperation is very strong, and there are many new possibilities as well. We have always worked together to address challenges such as terrorism, separatism, piracy, and drug trafficking. And we will continue to work together to fight these in the future as well.
During their meeting, both the leaders agreed to increase their collaboration in the fields of trade, investment, education, energy, health, culture, defense, and people-to-people ties. Prime Minister Modi also offered Nigeria, with India's experience in agriculture, transportation, affordable medicine, renewable energy, and digital transformation. Now, during their meeting, both leaders also discussed regional and global issues. President Tinubu acknowledged India's efforts to amplify the concerns of developing countries through the Voice of the Global South summits. Prime Minister Modi, in turn, appreciated the role played by Nigeria as the chair of ECOWAS and its contribution to multilateral bodies. Following their meeting on Sunday in Abuja, the two leaders also signed a memorandum of understandings on 3 key areas. The first was on cultural exchange programs, then the second was on customs cooperation, and the last one was on survey cooperation. Now, President Bola Tinubu also conferred Prime Minister Modi with the title of the Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger, which is Nigeria's second highest national honor. Prime Minister Modi was the first foreign leader to be conferred with this award since 1969. Prior to him, only Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom had been presented with this award. After his meeting with President Bola Tinubu, Prime Minister Modi also interacted with nearly 60,000 Indian community members based in Nigeria. Speaking at an event, he highlighted how India has increased its role in Africa in the last 5 years.
पिछले 5 साल में ही हमने अफ्रीका में 18 नई एम्बेसी शुरू की है। बीते सालों में अफ्रीका की आवाज को ग्लोबल प्लेटफॉर्म्स पर उठाने के लिए भारत ने हर संभव प्रयास किया है।
But Prime Minister Modi's visit comes at a crucial time for Nigeria and President Bola Tinubu, who is seeking investments from some of the world's biggest economies. This is because Nigeria is suffering from its worst economic crisis in years. Inflation has touched almost a decade's high, and prices of basic amenities have risen faster than anticipated. Nigeria is seeking to woo more Indian investment and cheaper lines of credit to help boost its economy and to create jobs. Now, there are about 200 Indian companies in the West African country. These Indian companies have cumulatively invested $27 billion in Nigeria, and they are the second largest employment provider in the country. Additionally, India has also offered close to $400 million of assistance to Nigeria, some of which has been used in developing the power sector in the West African country. Now, Prime Minister Modi's visit to Nigeria comes at another crucial juncture. Both of the countries have revived the push for permanent representation in the United Nations Security Council. Currently, there are only 5 permanent members, and in recent years, several countries have pushed for a greater multipolar world. Both India and Nigeria have renewed the promises of strengthening their bilateral relations, and the laying of red carpet for Prime Minister Modi has been a major boost for President Tinubu's image. Now, for more on this, on the Indian Prime Minister's historic visit to Nigeria, we have with us Senator Shehu Sani. He is the president of the Civil Rights Congress of Nigeria, and he is joining us live from Abuja. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Prime Minister Modi's visit to Nigeria comes after a long gap of 17 years. What do you think has prompted both countries to now focus on deepening ties, particularly in areas like maritime security and counterterrorism?
Well, Nigeria's-India's relation has been as far back as since the beginning of Nigeria's political independence. For people like us, we grew up in public schools. We passed through public schools where we were trained by Indian science teachers. They were here for biology, physics, chemistry, and mathematics. That was in the 70s and the 80s. And over the years, Indian companies have provided employment opportunities for Nigerians and also played a role in transfer of technology. Indians are, I can say, some of the most entrenched non-Africans that we have in our community the last 7 decades. And the relationship has been both cultural and economic. The visit of Modi to Nigeria will deepen that relationship, and I believe there are a lot of areas which the two countries can mutually benefit from. Nigeria being the most populous country in Africa, right, and also the leading role in West African sub-region, and India being a rising global economic power. There are a lot the two countries can work and gain together. Maritime, culture, yes, science and technology, education, and agriculture are areas which the two countries can benefit from. Modi's visit is a strong booster to the Tinubu's economic agenda. His visit also will further strengthen the ties between Nigeria and India.
Senator, on that, with maritime security and counterterrorism being key areas of cooperation, how do you foresee this collaboration evolving in the coming years, especially given the strategic importance of both countries in their respective regions?
Well, Nigeria has been battling terrorism in the last 15 years, as you have read in what has been happening in northern part of Nigeria with the Boko Haram, the ISIS, and some affiliates, other amorphous terror groups. And that's in the northern part of Nigeria. In the southern part of Nigeria, we have seen the rising level of oil theft, attack on oil facilities, and looting of our oil resources by what we call bunkerers or pirates. So Nigeria can benefit from India's experience, expertise, and technology in this field. We believe India can help Nigeria in the fight against terror in the north, and also it can also support the effort to combat maritime crime, banditry, and attacks in southern part of Nigeria, which is in the Niger Delta region. So the cooperation will be of immense benefit to Nigeria and immense gain for both countries, which I believe that is one of the major priorities of the President Tinubu's administration. And that is why he felt India can do a lot. After so many years of relying on the West and there is no positive result, so India can be a better alternative.
Yes. Absolutely. Senator, thank you very much for being with us on Firstpost Africa and for your valued insights on the latest with the Prime Minister Modi's visit to Nigeria.
Thank you, Father.
Shifting focus now to Mozambique, the southern African country is on edge since the presidential polls in October, which extended the 49-year-old reign of the ruling Frelimo party. Since then, the country is witnessing violent protests against the election results, But in the latest, Mozambique's government has banned any more protests in the country, calling it as acts of terrorism. Mozambique's Interior Minister, Pascal Ronda, while announcing the ban, accused protest organizers of using drugged youth to destabilize the country. These protests have been mobilized by the opposition leader and the presidential runner-up, Venancio Mondlane, who is currently in hiding in South Africa. The weeks of protests have left several people dead and injured. Let us take you through how these deadly protests were triggered. Now, it all started with Mozambique's presidential polls on the 9th of October. The ruling Frelimo party was seeking to extend its rule. Early results showed the Frelimo set for an easy win. However, the opposition claimed massive electoral fraud. Now, opposition leader Venancio Mondlane, an independent candidate backed by the Podemos party, had then called for a national strike in protest. But things worsened when the two of his associates who were participating to challenge the poll results in court were shot dead in the capital of Maputo on the 18th of October. Now, these killings sparked violent protests in which police fired tear gas canisters. Mondlane and his aides were also victims of the crackdown. He then announced on social media that he was fleeing the country, fearing for his life, and later revealed that he had fled to neighboring South Africa. On the 24th of October, the electoral body declared the Frelimo party's candidate, Daniel Chapo, as the winner with over 70% of the votes. But Mondlane, who came second with 20% of the votes, declared himself as the clear winner. He has since been mobilizing protests through social media, where he has a huge following. Last week, Mozambique saw the biggest protest since the unrest began, with soldiers being deployed to help keep order. Police fired tear gas and rubber bullets to disperse thousands of protesters who lit fires and barricaded roads in Maputo. Now, according to Human Rights Watch, at least 18 people have been killed in the violence. Some rights groups have put the death toll at more than 30. The unrest has also caused tensions with neighboring South Africa, which temporarily shut its main border with Mozambique over the violence. Now, Mozambique has also witnessed internet cuts and social media shutdowns as the protests spread, which have impacted businesses and everyday operations. But Mozambicans have continued their rallies. Over the weekend, several residents in the capital of Maputo gathered for some unique demonstrations, during which they banged on pots and pans. Mozambique, a country which has rich natural deposits of coal and minerals, remains underdeveloped to its internal unrest. And the latest chaos is only pushing the southern African nation toward more political instability. And now turning our focus to the Democratic Republic of Congo. A mountain has collapsed in the Central African country, but the collapse has not brought any devastation. Instead, it is adding to the country's mineral wealth. The mountain, which recently collapsed in the DRC, has revealed tons of copper. A video capturing the dramatic fall of the mountain emerged on social media, and people can be seen running as the mountain collapses. The collapse occurred in the DRC's Katanga region, which is known for its rich mineral resources. It has been known for large-scale copper mining for more than a century. Currently, this region contributes more than a tenth of the copper deposits of the world. The copper reserves contribute majorly to the DRC's economy. Copper is a highly sought-after resource. It is used in electronics, materials for renewable energy, and in construction. The DRC is already one of the largest copper producers in the world. So this discovery adds the possibility of further cementing its position in the global market and reaping more benefits. But the people of the DRC believe that there is a little possibility for that. Many of them are worried that the copper mountain collapse could bring foreign intervention in their country. People are not shying away from expressing their fears. Many of them have taken to social media to highlight their concerns. Now, some say that there is a white man somewhere smiling because of this mountain collapse, as they plan on intensifying the impoverishment of the people of the DRC. Now, some have been sharing how the West could be reacting with this discovery. Then some say that the US is now waiting to knock on the Democratic Republic of Congo's doors to promote human rights as well as democracy. And one user hopes that the British won't come and steal all of the copper. Then another said that the US, China and Russia will surely be racing to send their troops to take all the minerals. On the other hand, there were many users who were distressed over how the DRC is not reaping the benefits of its mineral wealth. They shared concerns that the country remains poor despite all of its resources. Apart from the copper, the DRC is also rich in cobalt, zinc, gold, silver, and a slew of other metals. Now, however, it has not been able to fully leverage these resources due to a long history of conflict, political upheaval, and instability. In addition, the large-scale mining of copper in the Congo has reportedly led to forced evictions, human rights abuses, and sexual assaults. So, with all of these challenges combined, the DRC has failed to take advantage of its resources, and its people, who are facing decades-long conflict and violence, are the ones frustrated. And for now, they are only hoping that such discoveries will bring prosperity to the nation. And finally, to our special segment, Resurgent Africa. Amid the coups and the crises, there are many positive stories from Africa that often get overlooked, but not on this show. A school in the Misrata city of Libya has been empowering several displaced children who fled from their homes in Sudan due to the war. The conflict in Sudan has led to a humanitarian disaster with millions displaced. But some refugees have found a safe haven in Libya, where parents are able to send their children back to schools so that their education can continue as the children reconcile with the realities of war. Our next report gets you all the details.
A school in the northwest Libyan city of Misrata has restored hope for many displaced children from Sudan. These children have had to flee their homeland after a war and a famine disrupted their lives. Sudan has been grappling with the war that erupted in mid-April 2023 from a power struggle between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary rapid support forces. The war triggered the largest displacement crisis in the world, driving more than 10 million Sudanese, or 20% of the population, out of their homes. Finding routes to escape the conflict has forced many people to find safety in Libya, where they now wish to continue education for their children that was halted back home. The Al-Takamul school in Libya's Misrata teaches Sudanese curriculum to the students. Many of the students in this school have been studying for nearly 2 years. The school currently accommodates about 512 displaced students. In recent months, it has seen an increase in demand from displaced children. This is because the displaced families are unable to afford the high tuition fees of Libyan schools or that of private schools. One such story is of Sama Mohammed. She escaped from Sudan with 6 children through an illegal route. Although not easy initially, she has now found a job at the school where her children also study.
Thank God. I am very, very happy that we arrived safely after the suffering we endured in the desert. My second goal was education, and thank God I got a job at a school. I offered them my services, and thankfully, they agreed to let me work with them.
The Al-Takamul school also provides education to children with special needs or those that are psychologically affected by the war.
A large number of children are experiencing psychological stress due to the trauma from the war. So we started working on social integration support and building their self-confidence to help them recover from the impact of the war. Many of these children have come from the war in Sudan, and thank God they have found a good environment here. We are working with them to help them move beyond the difficult phase they were in.
Mohammed is a child with special educational needs. He suffers from psychological issues, involuntary urination, fear and loss of appetite due to the war. His mother has now enrolled him into the Al Takamul school in Libya after she was unable to find an institution that could help her child with special educational needs.
They used to study in Sudan, even those taking higher exams, and they attended the best schools with good levels of education. But now, due to the circumstances, many have dropped out. I have a lot of Sudanese products that I make, sell, and market to help them. Right now, I'm supporting Mohammed because he's the most affected among them and his situation is special.
There are several more parents like that of Mohammed who are pulling in all the resources they have to get their children back to school. The Sudanese community in Misrata is also putting up an effort to make the lives easy for those fleeing from the conflict.
We are trying as much as possible to provide them with the simplest forms of a decent living and to ensure our children receive education so they can continue their studies.
After the horrific experiences that these children have suffered, schools like Al Takamul in Libya are becoming a space which gives them a glimpse of normal life.
And that's it on the show for today. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching and goodbye.